Ngọc and everyone, we are Group 2. As watching movie reviews has recently been the most popular way of entertainment among Vietnamese youngsters, we would like to bring out our movie review of the miniseries And Then There Were None. Author Agatha Christie is regularly regarded as the Queen of Crime or Queen of Mystery and is considered a master of suspense, plotting and characterization. In 1955, she became the first recipient of the Mystery Writers of America's Grandmaster Award. 5 years later, at the Bojacon World Mystery Convention, she was named Best Writer of the Century. In 2013, she was voted Best Crime Writer of the Crime Writers Association of Professional Novelists. Edmund Wilson, who is an American writer and literary critic, described her characteristics as superficial. Some of her most famous novels include The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, 1926, Murder on the Orient Express, 1934, The ABC Murders, 1936, Death on the Nile, 1937, and last but not least, the book of And Then There Were None, published in 1939. The genres of the book are mystery, crime, psychological, thriller, and horror. Agatha Christie was compelled to write a book because it was such a difficult plot to write effectively that the idea fascinated her. The storyline went through massive rewrites before she was ready to write it. According to the New York Times Book Review, the whole thing is utterly impossible and utterly fascinating. It is the most baffling mystery that Agatha Christie has ever written. Toronto Daily Star, which is a Canadian broadsheet daily newspaper, also commented on the book. Others have written better mystery than Agatha Christie, but no one can touch her for ingenious plot and surprise ending. And Then There Were None is a mystery thriller television series that was first broadcast on BBC One from 26 to 28 December 2015. The three-part program was directed by Craig Viveras, a British-Portuguese television film director. The series is based on Agatha Christie's 1939 novel of the same name. The miniseries starring Douglas Booth as Anthony Marston, Anna Maxwell Martin as Ethel Rogers, Sim Neill as General John MacArthur, Noah Taylor as Thomas Rogers, Miranda Richardson as Emily Brent, Charles Dance as Judge Lawrence Warcraft, Toby Stephens as Dr. Edward Armstrong, Bern Gorman as Detective Sergeant William Floor, Aidan Turner as Philip Lambert, May of Dermody as Vera Clayton. And Then There Were None received critical acclaim and was a rating success for the BBC, with the first episode netting over 6 million viewers and becoming the second most watched program on Boxing Day. Each of the two subsequent episodes netted over 5 million viewers. The revenue of the movie is nearly $2,800,000, and its functional expense is about $2,650,000. And Then There Were None was nominated for Best Television Soundtrack at Ivor Novello Awards 2016, Best Miniseries or Motion Picture Made for Television at Satellite Award 2017, Best Horror Thriller TV Spot Trailer Teaser for Series Lifetime at Golden Trailer Awards 2017. Craig Viveras was also nominated for Best Director at Royal Television Society Craft and Design Award 2016 in UK. The story begins with the appearance of 8 strangers including Marston, Vera Clayton, Dr. Armstrong, Philip Lambert, Emily Brent, General MacArthur, William Bloor, and Judge Warcraft, arriving at Soldier Island in August 1939. All of them have been ostensibly invited by old friends or the current ostensible owners, Mr. and Mrs. Owen. There is no host to greet them, but there are domestic staff, Thomas and Ethel Rogers, a married couple. The guests find a copy of a children's rhyme, 10 Little Soldiers, in each of their rooms and 10 tray figurines on the dining room table. The childhood poem becomes an obsession as each line reveals the blood-curdling death of a soldier. After dinner, they suddenly hear an orator voice, and then Mr. Rogers leads them to a room. There, a gramophone record is played, in which all the guests, as well as Mr. and Mrs. Rogers, are named as being responsible for the death of another human being, for which they evaded punishment. They immediately turn it off and gather at the living room. 10 little soldier boys went out to dine. One took his little self, and then there were 9. One person dies shortly thereafter, and everybody becomes frightened. Day by day, murders continuously appear. One by one, people die in a particular way, just like what has been written in the poem. The survivors wonder if there's another mysterious murderer on this island. They cast suspicion on each other, and the tragedy continues until no one is alive. 9 little soldier boys sat up late. One overslept himself, and then there were 8. 8 little soldier boys traveling in Devon. One said he'd stay there, and then there were 7. 7 little soldier boys chopping up sticks. One chopped himself in halves, and then there were 6. 6 little soldier boys playing with a hive. A bumblebee stung one, and then there were 5. 5 little soldier boys going in for lure. One got in transory, and then there were 4. 4 little soldier boys going out to sea. A red herring swallowed one, and then there were 3. 3 little soldier boys walking in the zoo. A big bear hugged one, and then there were 2. 2 little soldier boys sitting in the sun. One got frizzled up, and then there was 1. 1 little soldier boy left all alone. He went and hanged himself, and then there were none. Then who is the murderer? A children's rhyme and an island filled with corpses. Both create a presumably unsolvable mystery for everyone. Based on the novel of the same name, the mini-series of And Then There Were None has several similarities with the book version. Most movies have an advantage in the visual, and this is definitely true here. The island, the house, the weather of storms and fog all give this a melodramatic and spooky feel. The plot is almost the same, with 10 strangers arriving on a mysterious island at the invitation of an unknown host, only to find themselves accused of murder. Additionally, the actors who play 10 guests are almost identical to those in the novel. Also, a framed copy of the old rhyme 10 Little Niggers hangs in every guest room, and on the dining room table sit 10 figurines. After supper, a gramophone record is played. The record accuses each visitor as well as the Rogers of having committed murder, then asks if any of the prisoners at the bar wishes to offer a defense. However, there are considerable differences between 2 versions that we can easily tell apart. Even though the whole setting takes us back to 1939, the 2015 TV movie involves unmistakable details indicating a 21st century production with a much faster pace. Among modern touches are also special effects that obviously could not appear in older motion pictures. These include soldier figurines collapsing in the opening credits, which grabs viewers' attention with much more immediacy than a slow-motion list of names. For the first minute of the movie, there was no dialogue, just 10 soldiers' statues were broken. This is a form of time stretching that is cleverly used to help viewers avoid certain situations. Furthermore, the novel starts with introducing all the characters in detail, while the movie just roughly introduces some main characters, and starts with a capture of Vera Claythorne's blue-eyed, showing how she just woke up from a dream that recalled her past. Below are some changes that affect the viewer's experience of the movie. In the novel, the murder that each character is accused of is a kind of bloodless murder, which is beyond the reach of the law. That they were not and could not be prosecuted or punished for their actions is what motivates the killer to take justice into his or her own hands. While in the 2015 miniseries, the murders are almost bloody, violent, and direct. The general shoots his man in the head. The police officer beats the prisoner to death in his cell. The menagerie slaughters his guys. The sense that allows Christie characters to imagine themselves innocent is gone. Instead, we are left with characters who know themselves killers, and we are shown the murders in detail. Although the movie seems to be different from the original story, it provides stronger characterization and takes suspense to higher levels of genuine discomfort, thereby unleashing Agatha Christie's true potential. For example, Dr. Armstrong is more flustered in the movie than in the novel. The novel presents Mrs. Brent only as a foolish and overly religious woman, but the movie adds monstrous and hypocritical features to her character. In the mini-series version, Vera Claythorne and Philip Lambert are the most fully developed characters. The movie also shows cooperation between the two characters, Dr. Armstrong and Lawrence, as the storyline is going on, which is only mentioned by Agatha Christie at the end of the book. This change has reduced the surprise of the story. After the death of the church, Dr. Armstrong makes a suggestion for the 4 remaining people to party and dance wildly together, which is not mentioned in the novel. The red herring in the rain is misunderstood. Red herring both means herring and also means false evidence to distract. In the novel, red herring refers to Lawrence's death by Armstrong, and Armstrong then was tricked into death by Lawrence, which is explained at the end of the story. While in the film, the detailed red herring through Vera's deduction in the middle of the film implies that Armstrong's death is a fake. Armstrong is still alive and living around the house. In the novel, Philip Lambert is shot once through the heart before dying. In the movie, he is shot several times before dying. After Philip Lambert's death, Agatha Christie describes a feeling of relief enveloping Vera, the last person to survive on the island, while in the BBC film, it is an image of Vera screaming in anguish and despair. The appearance of the killer at the end of the movie as Vera is preparing to commit suicide reveals the truth and removes the streak in the story. This is different from Agatha's original, since the killer wrote on the story and put it in a floating bottle on the sea. This bottle was then picked up by a fisherman and handed over to the police. Lawrence's death in the novel took place on the bed, while in the movie, the trick is simpler as Lawrence sits at the table. And following are some fun facts about the film. In 2015, And Then There Were None was voted the world's favorite Christie in a global vote with the participation of fans from over 100 countries. At first, no one wanted to produce the play version of And Then There Were None because they insisted that the storyline wouldn't work on stage and that people would laugh at it. After a lot of effort, Christie was able to find a producer willing to take a chance on the show. In early brainstorming sessions, the crimes that some characters committed were quite different from the ones in the final book. The character who eventually became Vera Claythorne originally drove her lover to suicide. The character who became Emily Brand bullied her servant into taking poison, and the military man sent 30 soldiers to die in battle unnecessarily. Besides And Then There Were None, we would like to recommend some other detective films. Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile, The Hound of the Baskerville, The Silence of the Lambs. Throughout the whole series, some film effects have been used to improve viewers' experience. Cry Vivera's version goes to the core of suspense and relies on all members of the cast to increase the uncomfortable atmosphere of the film. All actors contribute to the overall creepiness, especially Mae Dermody's impressive performance. Also, the succession of close-ups in the characters' faces is obviously designed to hint at the secrets that they are trying to hide. Such close-ups are often followed by disruptive images recalling the past, always in tune with the character's state of mind and inner insecurities. The atmosphere is frequently psychologically horror. This adaptation of the novel is remarkably respectful of every character's emotional state, no matter what each man and woman proves capable of. And it's that sensitivity that gives the drama a growing emotional undertow as it swiftly progresses from one economical set piece to the next. Now let's take a look at some compliments on the miniseries. Dark yet dashingly executed, And Then There Were None offers a pleasantly misanthropic look at human nature by a Rotten Tomatoes reviewer. Even though it was written in 1939 as a serialized newspaper story, it feels modern in its moral complexities. Fans of British mystery, cozy or edgy, won't want to miss it. By another Rotten Tomatoes reviewer. With a combination of mysterious detective elements and a hint of horror, the perfect setting accompanied by the beautiful cast, good acting has made this fascinating movie a hard choice to ignore. By a Vietnamese reviewer on Ptnk.vn. This series has quite a lot of advantages, such as the plot is quite close to the original. The great acting of the cast is another factor in the success of the film. Each character has very outstanding personalities as well as different nuances of fear, which has made the movie a harmonious and complete one. The film changes some detail to surprise the viewers who have read the novel. 3 one-hour episodes are suitable for those who do not have much time. Great cinematography increases movie experience. However, the end is not really as plumb as the original, so it is quite difficult to understand for those who have not read the novel, which has been the only shortcoming of the miniseries.
The miniseries reached
7.9 out of 10 on IMDb, 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, 4.6 out of 5 on Prime Amazon. As a review group, we group 2 also have some thoughts on this appealing miniseries. My very first impression of this series is the cast is quite reasonable. Each of them succeeded in revealing the personality of the characters they incarnate. About the plot, I am a fan of detective movies as well as detective novels, so the ending is not surprising to me. However, for those who rarely or haven't watched detective movies before, this might be suitable. I love the way Agatha Christie linked the nursery rhyme to committing crime tips. All in all, the motion picture is well built, but there is one thing that I dislike. This miniseries has 3 episodes, each of which lasts an hour, which is a bit long to me. Although thriller is just a minor element, I think the movie needs more splash elements to create suspense for viewers so that the movie ending would be more surprising. As the director of this adaptation, Creepy Viewers efficiently keeps the viewer in the limelight by artistically adding creepy and horror senses beside the detective elements. The acting is good enough to express the characters' inner sides as well as depict the atmosphere of mystery and tension throughout the movie, especially Mae Dermody, who plays Vera Claythorne. The use of visual language instead of usual scripts enormously appeals to the viewers. However, because the crime of 10 little soldiers are revealed respectively as the film is going on, it leaves the murder mystery restricted only on the soldier island. It turned out to be more difficult to keep the viewers engrossed in finding the culprit, which might make the viewers fall into boredom. Despite the classic plot in the 1930s, the movie was built with modern effects, which are easily accessible to the viewers today. It's the key to the success of the movie. The movie has a huge investment in footage, as the majestic, natural and wild spots of England have taken the viewer eyes for the first opening senses. Though this 2015 movie is known as the most sincere and successful adaptation, it's hard to have the same impact as Agatha Christie's bestseller novel did. In conclusion, this is a must-watch detective miniseries, especially in this period of time when the coronavirus pandemic is bringing on too much stress and anxiety. So, that's all for our movie review. We would like to thank you all most sincerely for watching, especially Ms. Ngọc, who has instructed and given us the chance to work on this project. Wish you all the best in 2021.